Luton, Rotherham and Stevenage are all projected to do poorly in the first season of Football Manager 2024. Luton are projected to finish in 19th, Rotherham are predicted to finish in 24th, and Stevenage are projected to finish in 17th. In this video, I'm going to look at a plug and play tactic and test it out with all three teams as we look to see if the tactic can help them all beat the drop. Knap is one of the very best tactic creators for Football Manager 2024, and in today's video I've taken a look through his extensive catalogue of tactics to see if I could match up one of his tactics against a real life system used by a football manager in the top leagues. The focus of today's video is going to be Mikel Arteta, and as you can see from the tactic above, this is Knap's HDF Arteta 4-3-3, a tactic that Mikel Arteta has been utilising in the Premier League. As always, if you want to get straight on with this tactic, there will be a link in the description down below. If you download at this point, the only thing I ask is please don't forget to like the video first and foremost so this goes out to other people, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the other tactics that I'll be putting out in the coming weeks. Right then, the next thing to say, if you're here just to see how it performs, feel free to skip forward to the results section. I'm going to use this tactic with Luton, Rotherham and Stevenage to see how it gets on when put in the hands of teams who aren't expected to do well in their leagues. If you're here for the breakdown though, let's jump into that. Starting off at the back, you're going to have a sweeper keeper set to support. On the left, you've got a wing back set to attack. You then got a ball playing defender set to defend, a ball playing defender set to cover, and on the right, a wing back set to attack. In the middle, a defensive midfielder set to support. You'll then have two segundo volantes set to attack. On the left, an inside forward set to support, and the same on the right. At the top of the pitch, you'll have an advanced forward who is set to attack. Like most of Knap's tactics, this comes with a custom tiki-taka tactical style. Its mentality is attacking, so you will be on the front foot. The in possession will look like this. The in transition looks like this. And the out of possession looks like this. So this tactic roughly equates to the one that Mikel Arteta will be playing in the Premier League on a weekly basis. Let's see how it gets on by jumping into the results and seeing how Luton, Rotherham and Stevenage do whilst running this system. Let's kick off the results roundup by looking at Luton. And the first thing you will notice is that they have finished in 9th place in the Premier League, gaining 57 points from 38 games. We'll come back to the Premier League in just a second, but firstly let's look at the FA Cup, where they would get knocked out in the 5th round by Leeds United, and the Carabao Cup, they would get knocked out in the 2nd round by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's have a look though at the Premier League and break that down in a bit more detail. So we find Luton in 9th place. They would win 17 games, they would draw 6, lose 15 times, have a 12 goal difference, and would finish on 57 points. They would only finish 5 points behind Chelsea, who would qualify for the Conference League, but they would finish 12 points behind Newcastle, who finished in the Europa League places. Strangely enough, Jacob Brown would be the top scorer in the league with 26 goals. If we look at some of the other numbers for the squad then, we can see Jacob Brown would get 31 goals across the season from 36 appearances and 4 assists. Chong with 6 goals and 6 assists. Barkley with 6 goals and 5 assists. If we look a bit further on down, you've got Ryan Giles chipping in with 7 assists from left back, and their right winger Andros Townsend would get 7 assists also. If we go into the data hub to have a look at some of those numbers, starting off with the defending, goals conceded per game was 1.53, expected goals against per game was 1.31, and they would keep 9 clean sheets across the season. Looking at the attacking numbers, goals per game was 1.84, non-penalty XG was 1.84, shots per game was 13.5, and pass completion ratio was 87.62. So a brilliant way to start off the results roundup, with Luton finishing 9th place in the Premier League with 57 points. Next up, we are dropping down to the Championship, where we will look at Rotherham. Now, you can't see their performance in the Sky Bet Championship, but I can tell you that they finished in 4th place. We'll have a little look at that in just a second. In the FA Cup, they were knocked out in the quarter-finals by Fulham. In the Carabao Cup, they were knocked out in the second round by Wigan. If we go into the Championship then, to have a look at the table first, as I said, Rotherham would finish in an impressive 4th place. They would play 46, win 25 games, draw 8, lose 13, have a 38 goal difference, and finish on 83 points. Now that would be 9 points behind Norwich, who would finish in 3rd place, and it would be 11 points behind Leeds, who would go up automatically. It was good enough to get them into the playoffs. If you look at the semi-final of the playoffs though, they would lose to Blackburn on penalties after a 2-2 draw, and that means that they wouldn't get promoted to the Premier League. Looking at the stats though, Jordan Ukill would get 37 goals across the season. He would have a 7.27 average rating. Looking at the rest of the squad, we can see that Hugill would get 40 goals in 52 games with 5 assists. Apaya would get 12 goals and 15 assists. Rathbone 8 goals and 7 assists. If we look a bit further down, you've got Andre Green with 9 assists, and you've got Cameron Humphreys with 6 and Tyler Blackett with 5 assists. Also, looking at the data hub to check out some of those numbers, goals conceded per game was 1.38, goals expected against per game was 1.05, clean sheets were 14. Looking at the attacking numbers, goals per game was 2.17, non-penalty XG was 1.92, shots per game 15.25, and pass completion ratio of 87.66. So all in all, looking at the Championship, they have done themselves proud, finishing in 4th place on 83 points. And finally, we are going to drop down to League One, where we are looking at Stevenage, and we find them top of the pile, champions of Sky Bet League One. They would finish on 94 points from 46 games. In the FA Cup, they would be knocked out in the 1st round by Crewe. In the Carabao Cup, they would be knocked out in the 4th round by West Ham. In the English Football League Trophy, they'd be knocked out in the Southern Section 3rd round by Gillingham. Looking at Sky Bet League One then in a bit more detail, just to break it down. So they would play 46, they would win 27, draw 13, lose 6 times, have a goal difference of 51, and they would finish on 94 points. They'd have Harvey White with 7.22 as an average rating. They would have Freeman and Roberts getting 14 and 13 assists each. Looking at the squad for some numbers there, so Harvey White would get 17 goals and 13 assists, Nick Freeman 16 goals and 15 assists, Jordan Roberts 11 goals and 14 assists, Dan Butler 5 goals and 12 assists. Looking at the data hub to crunch some numbers, defending first, goals conceded per game was 1.17, expected goals against per game was 1.18, and they would keep 16 clean sheets across the season. Looking at the attacking numbers, goals per game 2.28, non-penalty XG per 90 was 2.14, 16.13 shots per game, and an 87.46 pass completion ratio. So, a fantastic tactic that sees Stevenage win the league. It would see Rotherham narrowly miss out on promotion by losing in the playoffs, and it would see Luton finishing the impressive 9th place in the Premier League. Let me know in the comment section, do you plan on testing out this 4-3-3 based on Mikel Arteta's tactics?